Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Monday, start of the work week here, October 16th, 2023. It's about 10:46 a.m. California time here, and latest activity does show a little bit of movement here into the Northern California region overnight, along with a pretty large earthquake up here into the Aleutian Trench. A 6.4 earthquake coming in about 4 o'clock this morning, local time here. 187 kilometers deep. Been a little while since we've seen the larger scale movement up here across this area of the Aleutian Trench. Looks like, yeah, definitely down into the subduction zone here. That's pretty deep, almost 200 kilometers deep here. So continue to watch areas upstream. Prior to this movement, we did see some activity in Northern California. And then if you remember last night, we did see a 4.9 here off the coast of Canada's northern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. So heightened activity taking place here in the last 24 hours across this area of the Pacific Plate. Now, Northern California, no stranger to earthquakes, but this popped up out of the blue. And the depth of these earthquakes here are very consistent with subduction zone earthquakes along the Cascadia subduction zone here, upstream from the Tremor. By the way, Tremor, I think we checked that out last night. There was just a little bit, handful of earthquakes down there in Northern California. It has been relatively quiet as far as Tremor activity goes. We'll get into that here in just a second. But 4.8 earthquake, about 3:20 in the morning. This was prior to that 6.4 in Alaska. Looks like, let's see if anybody felt this that early in the morning. I didn't feel it up here in Northern California. Of course, I'm outside of Chico. Not a huge earthquake. I don't think anybody, maybe it looks like one person over here did. But for the folks that were awake or got woken up, looks like mainly light to moderate shaking here south of Eureka. Again, the depth of this earthquake there, down there into the subduction zone of the Cascadia, which obviously extends all the way up north. To the Queen Charlotte Sound area, where we did see a little bit of movement yesterday with that 4.9. That one relatively shallow. Okay, so let's see what we got here. 1.6 was the first one, looks like last night, and then that was followed up by a 4.8 and some other earthquakes in there as well, including a 4.1 a little bit further north into the area of the Cascadia subduction zone once again. So this is getting a little interesting here. Not saying that the big one will happen out here, but it's been 323 years since we've seen a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake, and that's just the full rupture of the Cascadia, which will produce a at least a 9-pointer. I think there's been a little bit magnitudes higher, 9.1, 9.2 along this subduction zone. But also at the same time here, we've seen partial ruptures of the southern end. That rupture here off the Northern California coastline in southern Oregon, and that's capable of producing an 8-pointer, I believe around an 8.2 or 8.4, which would still be pretty damaging, but not quite as damaging as a full-scale rupture, which would be the entire length here of the Cascadia subduction zone. Big difference between an 8.4 and a 9.2. Huge energy difference. So, kind of keeping an eye on that area today. The last one was a 1. That's over out in Nevada. The last one was a 3.1, it looks like, about 7 o'clock this morning or so. Within the same area, and again, deeper regions of the, not super deep, but definitely below the surface into the subduction zone. Surface quaking would take place up here. And of course, the further right you go here on the map, is the further down you go. If you look at a cross-section of the subduction zone, like where this tremor has taken place, this activity is not at the surface. This is deeper into the subduction zone, about 45, 50 kilometers or so underneath this area, and deeper than the earthquakes that we've seen this morning. So a little bit further on the right, indicating some deeper movement quakes. We've seen, of course, we've got the Cascades up here with their volcanoes. That's even deeper into the subduction zone where all that process takes place down below to create these surface volcanoes. So I'm just going to watch that, see how it plays out today here. one of these days, we'll probably have a big one out here. It's not maybe. It's definitely an area to watch. That's for sure. Because I'm right out here. Goodness. Plus, we have to deal with the tsunami potential from even more than likely an 8.4 out here will produce a good-sized tsunami locally here to this area, and potentially not worldwide, but at least around the Pacific. But again, nothing like the full-scale rupture would do. All right. Anything else going on here in California? Did have a little bit of activity here in Nevada, a little swarming going on. Sometimes we can kind of see some telltale signs of plate stress out here by looking at these inland earthquakes away from the plate boundary itself. But I'm not 100% certain if this is related to anything going on there along the plate boundary. This kind of looks like it's about 10 kilometers or so outside the Reno region. Handful of smaller microquakes. That area has seen some swarming in the past couple months. Aside from that, no unusual activity there across the rest of California. And Southern California, a handful of earthquakes as well, but looks generally quiet today with only a couple small quakes here on the map, and some of these are from yesterday, so looks like things are taking a turn for quietness down here and more active in the northern part of the state. Yellowstone National Park, nothing showing up there, but I was just looking at this seismograph station here, and this reading is going to be that 6.4 that struck in the Alaska area, the Aleutian Trench. Now I was trying to find that 4-pointer, the 4.8. It looks like that 4.8 is going to be let's see. It's kind of hard to see here. Maybe one of these. I'm really surprised that 4.8 didn't show up a little bit more stronger here at Yellowstone, but that is the earthquake from the Aleutian Trench at 6.4. That will show up pretty significantly across various stations, even hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles away here. But as far as earthquake activity goes, locally, well, we got a couple here, maybe one or two in the last half an hour or so. Very small microquakes there at Yellowstone, but for the most part, no swarming taking place there in the area for now. The rest of the country, Texas, Oklahoma, a little bit of activity in Colorado. That's a 2.9. What do we got out here in the eastern portion of the country? Out here in Virginia, it looks like 2.2. That's from yesterday up against the Appalachian Mountains, which sometimes sees earthquakes out there. Puerto Rico Trench getting a little squeeze going on here across the area. You can see that line of movement here stretching up towards the Puerto Rico Trench. One right smack dab on it, 3.9. This is a major area and producing potentially some large mega quakes out here. Right now, just a couple 2s and 3s. Spotty activity here across the Middle America Trench near El Salvador. And this here's from yesterday, if I remember right here. I'm not for sure what's going on with the USGS map. A little spotty. Only a portion of it wants to show. Earthquake 3D globe in this area of South America. Shows declining movement here today, but as always, it's a pretty much a super active region on any given day, so this could pick up later on. Right now, I think the main focus is goodness, we've got a lot of activity out here as well into the divergent boundary. So it looks like things are on the uptick and on the move as far as plate dynamics go here today. But keep an eye, regions north and over here across the eastern Pacific, that includes California, for some possible further movement here. Did see a little deeper activity here into the Tonga Trench yesterday, and it looks like we've seen some more today. Almost a 600-kilometer deep 4.1. There is a relatively shallow earthquake earlier this morning as well within this horseshoe type of bend of the plates here. Deeper activity adding a little strain, it looks like, within the surface regions of this area. The New Zealand region looks like a couple 3s down there. One this morning. South Island area, it looks like. Nothing big going on down there for now. And the typical cluster of activity here across the Java Trench and the Indonesia Islands area. Bunch of threes in there mixed in today. Let's see what we've got going on across this area here around Japan, 4.7. And 5.7 as well within this area. Still waiting for some major movement over here. You know, that super large earthquake swarm that struck around the Izu Trench is super puzzling. I was expecting something to kick up on the larger scale across this area because, for the most part, the general plate dynamics out here pushes up against the area where we're seeing that 5.7 today. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see how things progress. But that was quite the earthquake swarm out there in the Izu Trench. It's definitely been a few days since we've had any activity, but I'm talking about this movement right here. Over 100 earthquakes or so, 141 to be exact, of various magnitudes. We've seen quite a few sixes and a bunch of fives and a whole bunch of fours in there as well. And I'm sure many other earthquakes in that earthquake swarm with really no main quake. I mean, there was 4 6.3s or 4. How many was there? Let me double check here. Want to be exact magnitude. Largest magnitude. There was 4 6-pointers. The 6.3 looks like. Oh, that's not going to be this one. It's going to be this right here. Oh, I thought there was 4. Goodness. Maybe that was the Afghanistan area. That's right. They had 4 6.3s over there. The Japan region here. Izu Islands, Izu Trench. 3 6-pointers. Still, that's a lot of activity. Look at all those 5s and 4s kicking up here in this area. So, just kind of quieted down. Went away, along with the activity there across the Kilauea volcano. Coincidence? I think not. Got a lot to do with the dynamics of what's going on below the surface here, underneath the Pacific plate. Latest activity here across Kilauea volcano. A couple smaller, very small earthquakes here in the area where that swarm has been taking place. I guess it's been a few days since we've seen any large-scale uptick here. This is the other region that has seen quite a bit of earthquake activity there at Kilauea volcano, along with quite the inflation, but that has since died down. 251 earthquakes in the last 30 days there, and mostly confined there around the area south of the summit area of Kilauea volcano. Again, we'll continue to watch that. Just taking a little pause for now. Southern California, what have we got down here? That's all we need. Right smack dab on the San Andreas Fault, or just off of it potentially. That's a southern segment, though. That's going to be a 2.1 coming in the last few minutes here, it looks like. Watch this area because got to pay close attention here because this area is very capable of producing, and it's been studied a lot in 8.1 on the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. I think this is long overdue. It was overdue since when I was a kid. I'm sure many of us grown out here in Northern California in general, you know, California is going to fall off into the ocean. No, it's not really. Technically, it can't. It's not really a subduction zone type of event. This earthquake that's going to take place here one day, which it will, is going to produce a big one, but it's not going to bring Southern California off into the ocean. It's technically not possible here looking at this map. There's too many plateaus that would make that impossible. If it was a major subduction zone, then we could see eventually this land disappearing underneath the continent of the North American plate, but as far as it falling off in the ocean, technically, geologically impossible. But it will do a bunch of shaking, that's for sure. 8.1. Just keep an eye on this area here. A whole lot going on in the world, and a lot more. You know, it'd just take a huge earthquake to pile up on all of the world events currently taking place. Let's see what else we got here. Kamchatka. This was late last night, 5.2, prior to all this activity here. All right, Indian Ocean out here. A couple divergent boundary earthquakes. 4.7 and looks like two 4.7s. Different locations within hours of each other, it looks like. These are all fracture zones out here in divergent zones of the Indian Ocean. Here's some of the divergent areas down here. You can kind of see it slightly. With that type of movement, that should definitely increase areas upstream here, which we're kind of seeing some uptick going on here today, it looks like. Across the Java Trench on the Earthquake 3D globe, you can see a little bit more of the newer circles there. But for the most part, activity when it occurs out here across divergent zones in this area point off into this general direction here as far as that momentum goes. So we'll keep an eye on that area and the Mediterranean regions here outside of Turkey. It looks like some 4 magnitude earthquakes and a couple other 2s in there. Iceland seeing a 3.5. And for the most part, though, the rest of the Atlantic looks pretty quiet. But it's an active day, definitely an active day in terms of plate stress out here against the West Coast and the Pacific Plate in general across this area. So keep an eye. Southern California, I did say it was pretty quiet prior to seeing this earthquake activity, but keep an eye there. 5 kilometers deep, right just off the southern branch here of the San Andreas Fault, adding some further strain. No doubt this thing's strained. I don't know how much further this thing can wind up, so to speak, but I think it's ready. It's about as ready as it's going to be for a big one. All right, space weather activity. Looking at that's a little weird. Looks like his graph here is kind of off. Because today's activity, the newest map shows, looks like we had an M flare here. Let's see what's going on with this activity. Did we see an M flare? Kind of looks like it. October 16th. It's weird though, it's not showing up on the previous image that I just showed you guys. Definitely seen some M flare activity, but I'm kind of wondering where that's coming from. Let's put this thing into motion, see what we got. Be able to, oh, maybe right down here, there was a beautiful spark from that image, from that sunspot. Looks like maybe on the eastern limb as well. I'm not for sure why this thing's buffering like that. So, looks like a couple regions out there may be somewhat active here. Hard to tell exactly which one it's coming from, but I guess some of these have grown overnight, looks like. Potentially this one. Maybe this sunspot here as well. We'll just have to see how this goes. Some movement, or at least some newer activity showing it's starting to show its face on the eastern limb of the sun. We'll continue to watch these though. 80% chance for a C flare, M flare. These are from yesterday. 20% chance for an M flare, X flare around 1%. But notice this right here is not really showing the flaring activity until we go to the main site. But all right. I'll look into that, cover that a little bit later. I got to get the member drawing going. I didn't forget yesterday, but I was a little bit under the weather. And we'll get that done today here. Probably I'm going to shoot for, I don't know what time exactly, but it will definitely be this afternoon here within the next couple hours. It'll be a separate live stream out here. to get the member drawing thrown in there, and we'll pick out a winner to win a $100 Visa or MasterCard gift card of your choice, or if you want an Earthmaster T-shirt, or it's entirely up to you guys. Or we'll throw in a geology mining kit, your choice. I think I already know what most people are going to choose, but that's okay. That's good. Kind of doing something a little bit different this month. Normally it's about $50, but I bumped it up to $100 to give away here, because we're just generous, I guess. That's kind of how I'm feeling here lately. What else? Space weather, or not space weather, but weather in general. Pretty quiet out here far as any severe weather threat goes. Not a whole lot here over the next couple days. There is a little cold front swinging in to the northwest. Not a whole lot of rain expected in Northern California, at least where I'm at. Along the coast, yes, they always get the rain. But for the most part, we're going to have high pressure building in along the west coast. Colder temperatures out in the east. Typical flip-flop pattern. Some type of tropical development down here south of the Baja California area. Probably bring some moisture into Texas. And, oh, goodness, look at that. You guys got quite the drenching coming up as we head a little bit later or deeper into the October time frame. Some tropical remnants there heading into the southern plains. They definitely need it. And cold. It looks like we have a cold front dropping down into the Pacific Northwest and Northern California, bringing with it snow. A lot of people don't like that word, but I love seeing blue on the map. So we'll see how this plays out. Either way, a little cool weather today for California. It's supposed to be about 78, and then things cook as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday. It's supposed to be in the low 90s out here. Not a big fan of that, but we will deal with it and hope for the best when it comes to a cooler weather pattern out here. I'm ready for it. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. Have a good day. Again, we'll catch you guys here in an hour or so, a couple hours. Got to get everything set up to do the member drawing, which will be live. And for the folks that have joined in and jumped on, everyone will be entered into that member drawing that's coming up here in a couple hours. We'll catch you guys back here then. Stay safe.